You know that feeling, right? That split second of absolute panic. You're working on something critical. Maybe it's a database migration. Maybe it's just the quarterly report. And the lights flicker, just for a heartbeat.
Oh, the heart attack moment. The universal sound of IT professionals everywhere holding their breath at the exact same time.
Exactly. The hum of the server room changes pitch, and you wonder, did I just lose everything, or did the backup kick in? Today, we're talking about the machine designed to make sure you never have to ask that question. We're looking at the APC SMT1000RM2UC Smart UPS. And honestly, calling this thing a battery backup feels like calling a tank a vehicle.
It really does. This isn't the little plastic strip you kick under your desk to keep your router on. This is enterprise-grade armor. It's a 3000 VA rack mount beast. And what's interesting is that while it looks like a boring black box, it actually tells us a lot about how modern businesses value their uptime.
Right, because downtime isn't just annoying anymore, it's expensive. I saw the specs on this unit: 3000 VA capacity, 2700 watts of real power. For the uninitiated, that sounds like a lot. But what does that actually look like in the real world?
It is a lot. To put it in perspective, a standard desktop computer might pull 200 or 300 watts. This unit can handle 2700 watts. So you're looking at running a rack full of network switches, maybe 3 or 4 heavy-duty servers, and your entire routing infrastructure, all simultaneously. It's designed for the network closet or the server room. If you tried to put this in your home office, you'd probably dim the lights in your neighborhood when you turned it on.
Laughs. So, overkill for my gaming PC?
Massive areas usi. Awesome overkill. And then expensive overkill too. We're talking about a price tag hovering between $1,500 and $2,000, but you're paying for the purity of the power. And that's a key distinction here. This unit offers pure sine wave output.
I see that term thrown around a lot in marketing materials. Pure sine wave. It sounds like an audiophile term. Does it actually matter for a server?
It matters immensely. Think of the electricity coming out of your wall. Ideally, it's a smooth, rolling wave. But cheaper battery backups, the ones you buy at a big box store, often produce a modified sine wave. If you looked at it on an oscilloscope, it would look like blocky stairs. Up, over, down, jagged.
And sensitive electronics don't like jagged.
They hate it. Modern servers use active power factor correction, PFC supplies. If you feed them that blocky, jagged power, they run hot. They buzz. Sometimes they just shut down to protect themselves, which defeats the whole purpose of the UPS. This APC unit guarantees that the power coming off the battery is as clean, or sometimes even cleaner, than what comes from the utility company.
So it's not just keeping the lights on, it's feeding the equipment the right kind of food.
Exactly. And it does something else that I think is the real MVP feature here, something called AVR, automatic voltage regulation.
Right, I wanted to ask about that. Because usually, when the power dips, a brownout, a cheap UPS just switches to battery, right?
Correct. And every time it switches to battery, it degrades the battery slightly. Batteries have a limited number of cycles. AVR is different. Imagine the UPS acts like a shock absorber. If the voltage from the street drops to, say, 100 volts instead of 110, the AVR boosts it back up electronically without touching the battery. If a surge comes in at 130 volts, it trims it down.
That's brilliant. So it's constantly massaging the power.
It's scrubbing it. This means your battery sits there fully charged and cool, waiting for a real blackout. It extends the lifespan of the unit significantly. In areas with dirty power, industrial parks, old buildings, this feature alone justifies the cost.
Speaking of costs and installation, there was a detail in the specs that caught my eye, and I feel like it's a trap for new buyers. The plug.
Ah, the NEMA 530p. The gotcha plug.
Yeah, you can't just unbox this and plug it into the wall behind the reception desk, can you?
Absolutely not. And I've seen people make this mistake. They order the UPS, it arrives on a pallet because it weighs over 60 pounds, by the way, and then they realize the plug has a weird angled pin configuration. It requires a 30 amp circuit. Your standard office outlet is 15 amps.
So you need an electrician before you even turn it on.
You do. You need a dedicated circuit installed. If you plug this into a standard adapter, if you could even find one, you'd melt the wires in your wall. It draws too much current. It's a reminder that this is industrial equipment. It requires facility planning.
That's a crucial heads up. Now, let's pivot to the smart part of the smart UPS. Everything is smart these days, from toasters to toothbrushes. How smart is a battery?
This is where APC is trying to modernize the industry. Traditionally, managing a UPS was a pain. You had to buy a separate network card, assign it an IP address, and configure SNMP traps. It was very 1990s. This unit comes with Smart Connect. It's basically a cloud portal. You scan a QR code, and boom! You can see the status of your battery on your phone from anywhere.
That sounds incredibly convenient for an IT manager who is, say, at home on a Sunday night when a storm rolls through.
It is. You get an email or a text. Power lost. Battery at 98%. Estimated runtime 45 minutes. That's peace of mind. You know if you need to drive to the office or if the servers are shutting down gracefully. But there is a catch.
There's always a catch. Let me guess. A subscription?
A subscription. The unit comes with a 6-month free trial of the Smart Connect service. After that, you have to pay to keep using the cloud features.
That is controversial. I feel like subscription fatigue is a real thing. Now even my power strip wants a monthly fee.
It's a polarizing move. On one hand, maintaining a secure cloud infrastructure costs money, and APC is providing a service. On the other hand, you just paid $2,000 for a box of lead and copper. It feels a bit like buying a luxury car and having to pay a monthly fee to use the heated seats.
That's a great analogy. So if I don't pay, does the unit stop working?
No, the unit keeps protecting your gear. You just lose the remote cloud monitoring. You can still monitor it the old-fashioned way, via USB or serial cable, but you lose that management from the beach capability. For a small business with no dedicated IT staff, that subscription might actually be worth it just to know the battery isn't dead.
That brings up a philosophical point about maintenance. We tend to ignore infrastructure until it breaks. A UPS is the definition of set it and forget it.
Until it beeps. And the beep of a dying UPS is the sound of nightmares.
Laughs. It really is. But you mentioned the batteries are sealed lead acid. That sounds old school. In the age of lithium ion. Everything. Why are we still using lead?
Cost and reliability. Lead acid is heavy, it's toxic if not recycled properly, and it doesn't last forever, maybe 3 to 5 years. But it is incredibly predictable. It can dump massive amounts of current instantly without catching fire. Lithium-ion UPS units are entering the market, but they are significantly more expensive. For now, lead is still the king of the server rack.
So, looking at the runtime, if the power cuts, how long do I actually have? The specs say 3000 VA, but that doesn't mean infinite power.
No, and this is the most common misconception. A UPS is not a generator. It's a bridge. At full load, pulling the full 2700 watts, you might get 5 to 6 minutes. Maybe less as the battery's age.
That's it? 5 minutes?
That's plenty. The goal isn't to keep working through the blackout. The goal is to keep the server up long enough to command a graceful shutdown. You want the hard drives to stop spinning and the databases to close their B files properly so data doesn't get corrupted. If you're at 50% load, maybe you get 15 or 20 minutes. Enough to wait out a quick flicker, but if the power is out for an hour, you need a generator.
So it buys you time to think, not time to work.
Precisely, it buys you data integrity.
Let's zoom out a bit. We're seeing a shift in how businesses operate, more remote, more cloud. Does a physical UPS in a rack still matter when everyone is on AWS or Azure?
That's a fascinating question. If you are 100% cloud, maybe you don't need this. But almost everyone has a hybrid setup. You still have a router in the building. You still have a switch that connects your office to the internet. If that switch dies, your connection to the cloud dies. So, oddly enough, even as we move to the cloud, the edge infrastructure, the hardware that gets us to the cloud, becomes even more critical to protect.
That's a great point. The cloud is just someone else's computer, but you still need a door to get there.
And that door needs power.
So, final verdict time. Who is this APC SMT 3000 RM2UC for?
It's for the small to medium business, SMB, with a server closet. It's for the branch office of a large corporation. It's for anyone who looks at their rack of equipment and thinks, if this turns off, we lose money immediately. It's reliable, the build quality is tank-like, and the AVR is top tier.
And the downsides?
The subscription model for monitoring is annoying. The need for a 30-amp circuit is a logistical hurdle. And it's heavy. But honestly, when the storm hits and the lights go out and you hear that fan kick on and see the green light stay steady, you stop caring about the subscription fee. You just feel relief.
It's the price of silence. The silence of things not breaking.
Beautifully put.
It really makes you think about how fragile our digital lives are, tethered to the grid by a copper wire. This box is just trying to hold that connection together for a few more minutes.
It's the last line of defense. And usually it holds.
Well, on that note, check your backup batteries, everyone. Thanks for diving into the heavy hardware with us today.
Always a pleasure. Keep the lights on.